Hey there everyone, my name's Leisa Molloy, and in this video I'm going to talk about the 4 common problems that emerge in organisations when it comes to conversations about careers, growth and development with employees. Now, these are not the only problems that emerge, but they are some of the most common. All of the 4 issues I'm about to talk about are written about in this article by Russ Laraway, ex-Google and Twitter, and who now works at Qualtrics, and also the co-founder of Candor Inc. with Kim Scott, who wrote the book Radical Candor. Now, as I talk about these problems, I want you to consider 2 things. First of all, what you would add to the list of common challenges, common issues, common problems when it comes to career growth and development conversations. Secondly, I'd like you to think about whether or not you've seen these problems show up in your organisation, and what are some of the things that we can do to remedy them. Okay, so let's jump in and talk about problem number 1. They simply don't happen. Now, there's lots of reasons why this can occur, but the most common one that I hear is time. Managers and leaders just being busy, having too much on their plate. And what often happens is that these conversations become that invitation in the diary that constantly gets bumped to a new time slot. Now, some leaders or managers don't realise they should be having these conversations. They think that the responsibility sits with HR or somebody else. Another common reason is just that people don't have the skills or the know-how. They don't feel confident having these conversations and they're not really sure how to navigate them properly. Another really common thing that I hear is that performance management conversations and growth and development conversations are the same thing. So people equate the two. And the fact is they're not the same thing, and quite often they shouldn't be. And then there's the other reason that nobody really talks about. And that's the situation where managers or leaders don't really want to let go of their good people. So they avoid having these conversations because otherwise their people might go somewhere else. They might take up a different role or secondment or something that helps them grow and takes them away from the job that they're currently doing. And the problem for some of those leaders and managers is that they need those good people in their team in order for them to succeed. Now, this is not a very nice reason or not even a conscious thing that happens, but the fact is it does happen. I've heard about it time and time again. So let's move on to problem number 2, having a short-term focus. So sometimes leaders or managers are having conversations around growth and aspiration, but they're not really thinking big enough. They're not thinking strategically enough about the sorts of skills, knowledge, experience, exposure that will set someone up for success in the much longer term. Now, there are certain skills and capabilities that take a really long time to develop. They're not going to happen in a period of 3 months or 6 months or even a year or 2 years. So sometimes these conversations are too short-term in their focus. Sometimes this short-term focus means a focus purely on promotion, getting that next role that takes you forward one step. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes a promotion does mean taking on extra responsibility, being challenged, being stretched, and being able to grow. But that isn't always the case. There are situations where a promotion simply means a pay rise or a different title, or even worse, some of those things and the extra responsibility, but without the support to really grow into that new position. Let's move on to problem number 3, which is when these types of conversations are simply a tick-the-box exercise. So what I mean by that is they're seen as something that you just have to do in order to meet some kind of requirement. You can do this thing, you tick it off, and then you can move on to doing your real work. This is often influenced by the culture within the organisation, and it happens in organisations where growth and development is not really seen as a key priority. And the way this usually plays out is that you do need to have these conversations, but just so that you can tick a box that then goes to HR or people in culture to say that it's done. Have a quick conversation, tick, done, moving on. Finally, problem number 4. When there's no real structure or consistency around these conversations. So they might be happening, but they're a little bit ad hoc. And again, often they're getting postponed and pushed back in the diary further and further to accommodate other things that are coming up. And now the reason that that is such a problem is because it makes it really difficult to maintain any kind of real momentum or ongoing dialogue around how people are tracking and what they've been doing and need to do in service of not only their own development, but also the success of the broader team or organisation. So there you have it, a quick recap on those 4 common problems. Number 1, they simply don't happen. Number 2, they're too short-term in their focus. Number 3, they're seen as a tick-the-box exercise. And number 4, where they might be happening, but there's no real consistency or structure or planning going on. And so now I have a question for you. What would you add to this list? And I really want you to think about the role of the leader, the manager, even the organization, rather than the role of the employee. What other challenges would you put on the bottom of the 4 that I've just spoken about in this video?